top it or ever top it. I try to heal and not pick scabs, but I'm like my mother. I like
And we are live.
What's
It's
up?
Elsewhere Podcast.
What's up?
What's up, chat?
Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Appreciate y'all being here. It's a full house already. We're here with Brandon Hart, obviously. If you see the screen, you can't miss it. Of course, at the
It's
cost.
good to have
What's-
you on, man.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, guys. Thank you.
No, it's awesome, and it's really hard because we've got East Coast, Central, and Pacific time. So it's always fun trying to figure out for everybody.
Welcome to my world of doing online concerts for the last 2 years.
Yeah. No, I get that.
It's literally been like, I basically could have a second career in that alone now. Just letting people know what time zone or what time of the day it actually, pops in from.
See, they're telling me I'm super quiet. See, that's what we need y'all here.
Yes.
Tell me when I'm way too quiet.
I'm always loud. I don't know why.
Let's try that. Is that better? I think that should be better. All right. Well, we'll see how this goes. But no, I really appreciate you being here. It's a Saturday. It is just, I'm so stoked for this. I have been so excited to have you on here and just talk about you, talk about your music, just kind of shoot the shit, the whole nine. So, oh, Skullz is perfect. Well, there you go.
It's all good. We're going to get into it anyways.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Sorry, I was checking
Oh,
all
there
the
you are.
settings. I was trying to hide and check the settings, and I accidentally deafened myself. That was fun. And then I panicked. So then I was panicking. I come back to that's the last audio check I'm not doing anymore, and I was like, oh shit.
No, I think we all sound good.
Yeah, we do. We're good. And see, there goes Just Jen. I love how this man is not only one badass musician, family man, does all this work to give his family the best life possible. Absolutely.
Just Jen is good people. It's nice to see her in here. She's a good person. I've had the pleasure of speaking with her on numerous occasions, and she's always salt of the earth for sure.
No, hands down. And whenever I need something, she's always there. She'll always, hit me up, check on me, stuff like that. So I appreciate her a lot. And a lot of the people that are in here, I actually know personally, so that's awesome. Anybody that's new here, appreciate you swinging through. I mean, honestly, by the way, I know a lot of people have said this already, but congrats on the new addition to your family, which is,
Thank you.
I'm sure you're getting all the rest in the world, right?
Yeah, you know what? Shit, we could talk about kids all day, but if you're a parent, you get it. But if you're a creative, you double get it because my sleeping hours have always been odd, and I worked in the film industry for a really long time on top of that, so my hours have never been normal. So I think a lot of people, I probably get more sleep than people actually think I do.
Right.
Just because I'm used to it, like I'm used to sleeping in small increments, and that's like what's always kind of worked for me, right? So.
No, that definitely does help because when I would work
Yeah.
nights and stuff, I could pull it off, But then there was the problem was that you can pull those longer hours if you need to stay up later, take care of business, right? But then there's that moment where you never get the break. Where it's like, okay, after like 5-6 days, I've been grinding pretty hard. I need to, crash for a little while, and then you're like, oh god.
Hmm.
It's nothing but love, but yeah, babies are fun. I'm just glad I'm not gonna have any more because I'm almost out of kid jail, so I'm thrilled. But no, and then you have a toddler as well, so that makes it that much harder, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, huge shout out to my wife because my wife is definitely the back. She is what keeps this house running. I don't know how she does it with a newborn and chasing our toddler at the same time, but she's cut from a different cloth than I am. That's for sure. But my daughter, being a toddler, it actually makes it easier now because, as you know, like when your kids are brand new, they don't really want a lot from dad. They want mom. You know
Right.
what I mean? They want to eat, they want to sleep. And if they're not bottle feeding, then I don't always have the right equipment. So, um,
Well, there is an
you know what I
article
mean?
out there that you might, I mean, that's possible apparently, so.
I'm not going to put on a rubber boob if that's where this is going. So, um, I'll keep that 100 right
That
off the
sounds
hop.
expensive.
Yeah, I'm good. I also don't want my kid you know,
Yeah, getting weird.
yeah, yeah, like 10 years down the road, like what happened to your rubber boob? Um, anyways, so for that part, it's easier. My daughter and I, she's 2 now, right? So there's a lot we can do together that don't require. We can eat snacks and chill on the couch and watch something, and she's happy to just
Right.
plop down beside me and watch whatever we choose to watch. I try not to watch too many kids shows, man. Um, like I'll try to find a happy medium. You know what I mean? Like if we're watching a kid show, let's watch like a classic cartoon or something. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to sit there and go through Baby Shark all afternoon.
Oh, I don't blame you. But
Hmm.
when they're a toddler age, toddler up to like, 6, 7 at least, right? It's dads will play and wrestle and like toss them around when they're not supposed to, so like they're the fun ones.
Yeah,
At least
that's definitely my job for
that's
sure.
my experience. Like, the fun when I go to lay down or something when my youngest was around that age and I'd be laying in bed like I'm tired. Like I worked all day, I cooked,
Mm.
cleaned, did all this stuff. Now I just want to lay down. And all of a sudden, cannonball and just lands like butt first right on my side. Good times. Apparently, when I was at work and dad was home, that was what happened is it was stand on the highest mountain of pillows that you can and then just like dive bomb with your rear end and try to like decimate the other people. So,
That's great. My daughter's pretty fearless, like in general. Um, and she's like, you know, from the second she could walk, she was running. And like, if you could find a way to sneak up on her and scare her, she's stoked. Like, she loves, she has zero fear. So that like roughness that I play with her, she's like a daredevil already. Like she'll
of course.
stand up on a chair on something high and then give me that look like I'm gonna jump, and I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. You know what I mean? But it's reminiscent, I suppose, because my parents got called like every day when I was a youngster because I jumped off of something and fell and hit my face or whatever. So she comes by it honestly. But yeah, thank you for the welcoming of the second child into my family. It's been crazy and it's been cool, and it feels different second time around, I suppose, for anybody who has multiple children. Definitely understands that
It
part.
hits different. It absolutely does.
Yeah, baby one is diffusing the bomb, and the baby two is knowing that the bomb will probably not blow up.
Well, and it also there's the whole thing where you have all the hand sanitizer and the cleaning of the house and stuff, and then you have the second one. You're like, it's okay. It's just dirt.
Yeah.
Or by 3 or 4, you're like, nah. You know what? In fact, here's some dirt for you because I don't want to cook dinner. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry. It'll just boost your immune system. My favorite thing is always, we'll see. That's what I used to tell my kids. Oh, can we get the Aqua Globe off the commercial? We'll see. So they think I'm saying yes, but I'm not. I'm really not. But that was
Yeah,
like
my
my
daughter's
That sounds
real
like
smart,
using a
though.
bomb.
Yeah. My daughter's really smart, man, and she literally forgets nothing. Like you'll do one thing one time, and she's like, "Yeah, no, we're doing that again, exactly like that." Or so you try to call her on it and be like, you know, like she's a parakeet at this age, and I think I yelled shit or something the other day, and then she started yelling it, and then I was like,
Oh no.
I said sit, and then she looked at me like, no, you didn't. You know, like she gave me that look. She like looked right through me, like, no, man, that's
She
not what
looked
you
at you.
said.
She was like, "You're full of shit."
Totally, man. Like, and she'll put things in the right context too. That's the crazy thing when your toddler uses a word they shouldn't, but in the proper context, you're like, fuck. Not only are they listening, but they're like, they're putting the pieces of this puzzle together. But you know, in the grand scheme of life, some made up cuss words aren't going to change someone's future. Look at me out here swearing my ass off, doing just fine.
Exactly, right?
In
It was
fact,
like, oh,
in
this
fact, don't look at me for that example. But
do as I say, not as I do, okay?
yeah, exactly,
That is the parent's motto right there. No, but it's just
exactly.
it's the point not only obviously to give you the congratulations because you deserve it. It's not an easy thing to juggle and it's an amazing thing to a new member of your family. It's awesome on every level. And of course everybody's kind of following when once they heard the announcement to the point of having the baby. We were, all sitting there like, holding our breath like, is it today?
Mhm.
So I
I
know
know
there's a
it's
lot
such a beautiful thing.
there's just a lot of people there, but on top of that, it also feeds into the fact that because of what you do, right? It's not like you're like, okay, well, I took 3 days of PTO and I'm gonna stay home, and this, that, or the other, right? You're literally balancing at all times. You're balancing you're balancing, the things that you have to take care of that, as well as your family, and making sure that you're doing what you need to move forward. However, it's not taking away in any aspect and like leaving anything wanting, except for your mental
Yeah,
health and your sleep. That's the only thing left wanting.
100%. I think I'm constantly evolving in all of this, right? Especially with what I do for a living and having children. And I'm pushed and pulled all the time because there's so many positives and beautiful things to the community we've built and the beautiful people um, around me that I want to share all these beautiful moments with my family, but there's the other side of me too that's like, I'm not trying to have my kids in every single waking moment of what I put out onto the internet, because for 100 good, there's 10 bad, right? And some people are going to take that picture. Like, there's always people making fake fucking scammer accounts of me, and like, what next? You know what I mean? They're going to start like posting pictures saying my kid's sick and they need money for that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there's all these fucking weird angles. And in moments, sometimes, when I feel myself pull back in, and you see me writing those posts where I'm talking about like everything's moving like 150 miles an hour around me right now, and I'm just, what, rather than trying to figure out and navigate how much of this I want to share at the moment or think about that, I just want to put my fucking phone down and let my son fall asleep on my chest, or let my daughter crawl in beside me. I want to have these moments because the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows of everything that I do, career wise, are forever changing for my entire life. But these moments, these small fleeting moments of them being young children, go away so fucking quickly. And you can take as many videos and pictures as you want, but that actual moment, that moment with them is so fleeting. Or that moment with family, that moment with your folks if they're still around, grandparents if you're still lucky to have them. Those real life moments are so few and far between with how fast this everything moves around me, that sometimes I'm like, yo, just it's okay to go dark for 5 days. Like, the world will move with or without me. I understand that, like, in this urgency world we live in now, where it's like you haven't put something out in 6 months, so people's self-worth is like diminishing. People are like, are you okay? Are you not making any music? And it's just like, yo, I move like you don't see the fucking current changing the water from up top. You know what I mean? But that motherfucker's gonna pull you to the middle of the ocean if you got in it. but you don't see it on the surface. And, you know, first and foremost, I make art because that's the only thing that makes sense to me. And it's made in solitude, and it's made by extracting the deepest emotions and the deepest feelings that are inside of me. So trying to corporate that is a really fucking tough thing to do, because ultimately, you know, we can scream independent till we die, but you still got to pay for, you know, food and lights and groceries and cars and life, you know what I mean? So that you have to find a way to monetize that. But for me, I find like there's a very delicate balance between the two of, you know, being a used car salesman or sharing your art, right? So
Right. Well, on that vein, just to say, there's a couple people dropped in. By the way, shout out to my mom. She's in the chat. That's Patricia.
all right.
That's my
Nice.
mom.
What's
Hey,
up?
Mama
What's
Cat.
up?
So, and she told me she's gonna be here. By the way, Truth, what's up, Truth? He's here. Beats Bars and Delivery. I know that you he did a reaction to one of your songs and you had popped in at that time. He's in
Oh yeah.
Cancun right now, and he's in the
Oh
chat
nice,
just
man.
to say what's up. And then I see Corlin, who's a friend of mine, and everybody else. Appreciate y'all being here. Obviously, we're here with Brandon Hart. If you guys haven't heard his music, I don't know what is going on with you. Ben. There's a link down below in the description that you can check. But no, absolutely, that's the thing. I think people forget sometimes how precious those moments are because you're trying so hard, even if you're doing it for the right reasons, even if you're doing it for the ultimate goal of, you know, doing better or more for your family. In that moment, right? You get tunnel vision, you can lose sight of some of the things you're actually letting slide. And I'm guilty of that all the time. Or by trying to good things or make a pathway, you know, to show my kids, look, you can do this if you want to, that kind of thing. And I lose sight of, well, maybe they didn't want me to do that. Maybe they just wanted to watch TV with me or something. Like I lose sight of that a lot. And so that balance is key because you can't get that time back and you look back and say, oh man, why didn't I? Should have, right? And when you hear people talking about it, like stop and think about it and then try it yourself. That's
Absolutely. And you know, and that this whole thing is relevant in every walk of life. This doesn't have to do with just creatives. Like we all spend our time wishing for a different situation, wishing to be in a different spot, wishing to have a different thing, wishing to have a different this or that. And then when you get it, you're so focused on the next thing that you're now hyper focused on that you don't even realize that you've actually amassed these things. You know what I mean? That your life has actually changed leaps and bounds from where you were to where you are now, but you never looked up. During that time, you just keep changing the step, right? And you're just looking at the next one. And I often have these moments of like, where I'm caught. It's like almost like that version of myself taps me on the shoulder and it's like, hey, remember when we were sleeping on a fucking futon mattress on the ground with nothing? And we were like, if I could only get, you know, $1,500 to pay off all the money that I owe on the fines for my license so I could get a car that could get me to here and take me to there. Like I'm talking about these little fucking steps, or if I could just not do drugs anymore, if I could this or that or whatever. Those are massive steps. I'm just saying I'm trying to put some of my own truths in there. And
right.
all of a sudden you're out of it 3 years later in a different house with all these things around you and a fucking full studio and all these things that you didn't even remember, or you don't even it feels like you weren't even like present getting them, and all of a sudden you have them all, and you're so used to being in that new environment and working in that new way that you never actually pick your head up and realize like, well, when did this get here? You know, like when did those monitors come? When did I get that keyboard? You buy these things, you move through these motions while you're doing these things, but I don't think, you know, I try to pull my head up out of the water as much as I can. That's something, you know, I'm not going to spill a bunch of Tom beans. That's not what I'm on here for. But through every step of the way, when it was 200 people that was watching the videos, and we were hitting people up for both of our Facebook accounts, or when there was 2 million people that watched it in the first 24 hours, I've always tried to every single step of the way try to like, you know, because there's so many people celebrating or trying to celebrate, and nobody works like he does. And I know that it's as that steps there, there's another one that's already in his place. So now he's moving towards that next one. I've tried to consciously always remind him, and I think in the same regard, remind myself to like, hey, remember this moment, like where you're standing right now, because it won't be like this again. And if it is, it's going to be different when it's like this again, you know? And so it doesn't matter what you choose to do with your life. It still comes back to those hyper focused blurs, right? These moments that like you can't save in a phone, these changes that happen so rapidly and gradually at the same time that you don't notice them, right? So I'm just try to pop my head up out of the water a little bit more these days, and really try to soak in these changes and these moments in my life, because those are what I'm going to take with me to my final breath, nothing else, right?
Yeah, and I feel like that complements the art too. Like when you find your balance, you find your like homeostasis. Like it makes you more inspired, makes you more motivational, and it helps with your art, and it also helps with your family life and your personal life too.
Yeah, for me, I had to change a lot of things about how I did a lot of things, because having kids changes your schedule. Not even just having kids, but every aspect of life changes things. And um for a lot of years, I remember friends even saying, like, when I would go through a breakup, they'd be like, "Oh, good, here comes music." You know what I mean? Because I always needed,
Wow.
like, yeah, no, but for real, I was like a self-destructive human being for a long part of my life, because I couldn't create unless I was in that moment of despair. And if you listen to a lot of my earlier records, you can hear I'm either out of a bad situation, or currently working through one, or talking about an old one. And it wasn't until Worried Sick, really, where you can hear that shift, right? You hear that record. I'm talking about some past things, but Worried Sick is a very introspective. I've said many times, like, um, and I say long story short, but I should just say long story long, because I don't do long story short ever. Um, but a lot of my records, and to touch on that like self-destructive part of me, I felt like I was only able to create when I had some type of grief, because then I actually had the physical emotion that I could write about. Or if I was dealing with an alcohol problem, it was because I was over drinking, or I was, drugs, or whatever the fucking issue was. I was actually in that moment, and it felt like that was the only way I could create. And when I started writing Worried Sick, I was no longer in that place anymore. So um and for both of my albums, I wasn't doing drugs anymore, but I was finally able, through that area, like the two albums prior to Word Sick, I Am Brandon Hart and Almost Yesterday. Um, I wasn't in that spot at all anymore for those, but I had to. I was actually at a spot where I could finally like look at it from 360 feet in the air and write about it all,
Like address
and
it,
work.
right? Rather than being in
Yeah,
the
I could.
midst of it, you were addressing it
Exact.
because it's a huge part of who you are and where you came.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, because I do this a lot, I'm saying currently, but also especially like before I overcame a lot of stuff that I have in my life. Thing is that when you get into that mindset, you create a habit where if you do something and you did like, man, I just wrote that song and I was lit, like I was lit, but it came out and there's all that emotion because your inhibitions are gone, and so you poured it all out there, right? And it worked. So then the next time you want to write something amazing, what are you going to do? Right? Because if you don't, then how is it going to match up, right? Because it's always that it's a habit that you create to create something when you're in a place of accessing that without your inhibitions gone, like a choice to
Yeah.
access that part of your creativity and your mentality versus it just happened because I was just gone. It just was there.
Yeah, like I always equate the first two albums to like keeping journals through like a really gnarly sailing expedition. Like you're not, when you're white knuckling hands on the wheel, you're not able to write about something. But when you get through the other side of that storm, and the seas start to calm down a little bit, is when you can actually look back in retrospect and really be like, oh fuck, I went through all of that, and now I can write about it. So that's definitely what Almost Yesterday and I Am Brandon Hart was about, and then Worried Sick was like the first time I was able to just like, kind of write from calm seas. There was no anything, no turmoil, no, all those things that I thought that I needed, like when I drank alcohol and I thought that I needed to drink alcohol in order to be able to write songs. So when you listen to songs like Slow, well, that's why it taps into it, man. I'm depressed as shit talking about the only way I can slow my brain down is by fucking dumping booze on it. And like that song is legitimately, if you listen to it, there's so much like hope and despair in there because that's exactly where I was in that exact moment where I'm talking about like, you know, like is this gonna work? Am I gonna be able to hold on long enough for this to actually fucking come to fruition? Or am I gonna have to fold my cards at some point because I don't have a backup plan and things are changing drastically and all these thoughts are racing so fast around me that when everything is fast, this is how I get slow. This is my hit the stop button. And um that's real talk. That's what those songs are about. I've never fabricated any part of that. But when I stopped um drinking alcohol, uh it was like it changed everything. A lot of the anxiety and depression I spent most of my life fighting. Uh and I'm not gonna pin it all on the booze. I'll take all the responsibility. Um, I'll take all the responsibility for my bad mistakes, but I'll take all the congratulations for where the fuck I am too. You know what I mean? So
Damn
like,
right.
not I fucked it up, but I also worked really hard to not be that person too. And when I stopped drinking alcohol, like my daily anxiety was like 80-90%. You know what I mean? Like I woke up vibrating like that pit of worry all day. And I remember explaining to somebody one time, like when I drink alcohol, I would drink and focus on like extinguishing that pit. You know what I'm saying? Like imagine you had a fire in your stomach and I was focusing on the booze hitting that to stop that anxiety. And that's what I would focus on when I was doing it.
What
And when I
happens when you
stopped
put
doing all that, it
alcohol
went
on
away.
fire? What happens when you pour alcohol on
Yeah,
fire?
it makes it
It
worse. It
makes it
makes it way
worse.
worse. Yeah.
You know, in
You
your
know?
mind, you think that it's going to put it out. It's going to make it stop, even for and give you a little bit of some semblance of peace. Or at least you stop thinking about it, or you just can ignore it, or you can get tunneled, distracted. It's a distraction, right? But
hmm
then when you turn around and look, you realize it's not just that pit that it's in. It's not just like that section. It now got the walls, the curtains, and your couches on fire.
It's bad, man.
You know?
And
Yeah.
I wish people would like fuck. You go to a doctor and they ask you every question, but how much alcohol you drink, or maybe they do ask you how much alcohol you drink, and you fabricate it because you don't want to be on some other
Lie like a
conversation.
rug. Lie like a rug.
You know what I mean? But for me, I was like, like I equate it to like a dairy allergy in the simplest form where you're like it's not the cheese that's hurting my stomach, it's just milk. Okay, I'll cut milk out. Okay, well it still hurts when I eat cheese. Well, it's not cheese, it's got to be this type of cheese or that type of cheese. I literally went through that with alcohol where I was like, well, it's not all alcohol. It's because bourbon's a depressant and tequila isn't. So I can drink tequila and I'm fine. Or
Yeah.
it's because it's the alcohol content. Okay, so it's I can drink ciders. I just can't drink vodka sodas. You know what I'm saying? I went through all these like break agreements with myself to eventually where I was like, dude, just try not drinking. And then when I tried not drinking and it like my anxiety, I'm telling you, went from a daily like the whole world's on fire 95% pinned to like a 5. And I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, well, maybe it's just because of doing all these other things. I'm meditating, I'm working out, and I'm eating better, and I'm doing all that shit. And then I have a couple drinks, and then I'd be like, oh shit, it's right back. It's right back. And now I'm like almost a year sober. And
That's amazing.
yeah, and I wasn't drinking heavy by the end of it by any means. I don't know how this spiraled into my sobriety, but it is what it is. Um, I wasn't drinking super heavy by the end of it because it was making me feel more and more anxious every time, and I definitely knew that was a thing. But I'm talking about even when I would have a casual like one or two, it would be that. And then when I cut it out completely, literally, it was like the clouds lifted, and a lot of the shit that I've been fighting my entire life went away. And I was like, God damn it! Why didn't I think of this sooner? And I saw this quote the other day, um, that floored me because there's so much like I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of fucking how much booze and shit is pushed on us through media, but it seems you seem very on the outside when you see someone having a beer after work and you're like, well, why can't I have one beer? They look like they're handling it fine, but you don't know that they're handling it fine in their brain. You know what I mean?
Right.
They could be feeling exactly like I am. They just look fine doing it. And that's where it had to break it for me. So you have these moments where you kind of romanticize, like, we did something big. I could have a drink. And then I'm like, but why can't I just have a Perrier? You know what I mean? Like, I had to like flip my brain around that. And I saw this quote the other day. This is the long story long to get to that quote. It said, I'd rather be sober wishing I was drunk than drunk wishing I was sober.
Ooh.
Oh my God, amen to that. Anybody, by the way,
Yeah.
anybody that has fought with any type of addiction, that's facts right there.
Yeah, and
There's
that one
nothing-
hit me. That one literally hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was like, "Fuck, amen." I could not agree with that statement more. I'd rather sit here thinking about drinking a beer for 2 days straight than have had drinking that beer and being on the other side and being like, "Fuck."
And it doesn't matter
I
what
don't wanna feel
substance,
this.
and I'm speaking from experience, and I don't. And here's another thing: a lot of the
Of
reasons
course.
that people resonate with you, and I'm not saying, oh well, because of this is why people rock with you. No, your music's amazing. You're inspirational. You're positive. You're you're a great father. Like all the good things that you really should aspire to be, and you're an awesome person. However, the fact that you do have the sobriety thing going, where it doesn't matter which it does matter, but it doesn't had those in the past, right? So have I. I resonate with that because it feels like when you're in that mode, no one gets it. You feel alone.
Mhm.
Even if you're surrounded by people, you still feel alone. And to be in a community that people have fought with addictions and their sobriety, fallen off, fallen back on, done well, are still doing it or thinking about stopping, whatever, having someone acknowledge that, any substance, I'm not talking about, it doesn't matter what it is, that quote means everything, right? Because in the moment you do whatever it is that you do, right? The moment you do it, like, God damn it. Every time.
Mhm.
At least that's how I
Mhm.
got. Like, I'm like, oh, really? Like, I couldn't, I just, no. Like, okay, well, here I am now, so I might as well, let's go. I'm already here.
Yeah,
You know?
I'm already here.
And that's the
You know,
thing. And then after the words, you look back like, good God, why did I? Like it's humbling and it's hurtful and it feels like you're completely all.
I
However,
think like,
you're
oh,
not.
sorry, go ahead. I
No,
didn't
I'm
mean to
just
cut
saying
you
you're
off.
just you're not.
I think like a big percentage of people drinking again or doing drugs again is that exact reason because they feel alone because they're alone in their sobriety because not everybody fucks with you anymore when you're sober and you have friends that are like you're like we're gonna you got your party friends that you're like we're gonna be best friends for the rest of our lives and then you
Yeah,
get
man.
so like that guy sucks. He's fucking sober and shit. He doesn't do anything cool. Or that's you equate to believing that's what they're saying about you. But no plug on my last record at all. But that's what that song "Kings of the Summer" is about. Yeah, we were the kings of the summer. Tell me when it all ends. No one tells you when you grow up, you lose all of your friends. And that's the fucking reality. You have these friends that you're like arm in arm high and drunk with every night, and then you don't get high or drunk anymore, and they're just like, now you're a loser or you're lame or something. And I think loneliness because you believe you don't have any friends anymore. You believe that nobody likes you, and then you're like, all right, well, maybe I will meet them for a beer. Maybe the problem is me, And anybody listening to this, the problem isn't you. Real talk. The problem isn't you. It's your other friends. Stay away from them losers.
Yep.
They're not actually friends. And
they don't. If they don't fuck with you, if you can't call them and tell them they need to bring a shovel and a truck at 3 o'clock in the morning, first and foremost, they don't pick up your phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And you can't call them with some like,
Need to bury a
you
body
know,
type shit. Is that where we're going with this?
no, like I need to plant begonias type shit at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm just saying whatever the fucking case may be. If you don't have a friend that'll come drink a coffee with you at 3 o'clock in the morning, or will pick up just to fucking bullshit because you need someone to talk to, that is it. They don't really ride with you. Then don't waste your life. Life's way too short. You know.
No, I completely agree. Life is way too short to, dwell in a place that you don't need to be.
Mm.
And
Like,
you don't have to.
like if you don't make time for a text or something, I always look at friendships and relationships like watering a plant. You can overwater a plant and kill it, and you can underwater a plant and kill it. But if the right amount of watering comes from both people, and that's what keeps it alive. So
I agree.
I'm not gonna be the motherfucker to sit here and pour a whole can of water on you. I'll let that bitch go dry too. We both can.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because in all honesty, it's just something that like a lot of people, they struggle with alone and they don't think about it. And to hear someone else acknowledge it, own their own mess, and say, hey, look, this is kind of, I'm not all the way through it, I'm not all the way past it, I haven't figured all of life's magic out. I still am just living day to day like everyone else. Like I'm still just here in the moment, and I'm gonna be there in the moment, in a moment, right? People just, hearing that, it makes them, I know it makes other people feel like that somebody gets it, because it's really hard for people to acknowledge their stupidity publicly.
Yeah.
You just play it off, it's no big deal.
I think, and not to spend this whole podcast talking about sobriety, but I think when you get sober, it challenges people, and it's the same thing with success, because when you don't make it, like any person who's made music, I'm just going to, speak about myself in the realm of what I do. Every person you made music with in your whole life coming up, either 90% of them secretly hope you don't make it. And I'm not saying that to be a hater. And people can fucking, argue that shit till they're blue in the face, but fuck you. I'll argue it right back. Because if you don't make it, they are validated for not continuing and giving up when they did, because you didn't make it, right? They're going to place their marker on how far you go and just assume that they would have made it as far as you. You know what I'm saying? And
Good point.
that shit is the absolute truth. They are going to place their marker on you. So if you make it, they're like, well, it's different. It's the internet. Everybody can make it now. It's so easy to blow up. That's their chat. But if you don't make it, they're like, see, man, like him and I were doing the same shit and he didn't make it. So like, there was no point in me continuing on. Whatever they're doing, they're placing their marker and excuses on you, whether you win or lose. And sobriety does the same thing, because people have to check themselves. They see your life changing and they're like, yeah, well, I mean, like, fuck that guy. He ain't doing shit anyways. Like, it makes them actually have to look at their life under a microscope and realize like how fucked up it is. And people have to start taking a mental, personal inventory of like what's wrong in their life. And sobriety challenges that, because life still happens to you when you're sober. It's not like you wave this magic wand and you're like, I'm sober, life's great. No, the same problems come. You just don't drink to get through them or drug to get through them. You have to get through them. You know what I mean? So it's like the whole world just sober.
Well, people think it's easier to get through things when it's fuzzy, when they're wrapped in bubble wrap with, they've got their alcohol or whatever their drug of choice happens, that haze, so that everything doesn't seem as sharp and it doesn't hurt as much, they feel. However, it's the same exact issue, and it's easier to get through when you actually have a clear mind and you can approach it with common sense, which everybody knows that, I don't care who you are, I don't care what your drug of choice is, common sense is not, it goes out the window. It's not part and parcel. So, and it's true, the same exact issues. Yeah, there might be other ones that are caused by bad choices that you make, and then you end up in a shitty situation because, one leads to 2 to 3 to 4, right? You go down that path. But if you're standing at the fork and you have a clear head, you can make a logical, educated decision.
Hmm.
versus, if you go down like, well, this path looks like fun, and you just go that way. And then, it takes you 8,000 more years and you miss your opportunities. Like, I could just see it like a Monopoly game or the game of life, where you see pass by,
Yeah.
someone else spins the wheel and you're like, it's sad because, I mean, like I said, I've done it. I've been through it. I know a ton of people in the chat personally, and I know that they have as well. And I know that you did. And that's one of the things
Hmm.
is you already answered one of my big questions I wanted to ask you today, which was the way I was going to phrase it. I was really proud of myself. And I've said this in the past. I've said this that I think like music and especially songs, right, are a snapshot of someone's life. Like if you took a picture of a movie, a still, right, of
Hmm.
the movie of your life, and you took a still, and that's a song that you created at that time. It's influenced by the past and the present, correct?
Hmm.
And of course, there
Yeah.
are ones that could potentially out the future, but it's influenced by your past and present. And
Hmm.
so they stand on their own as long as you've got the context. They stand on their own, and it doesn't matter if you wrote this when you weren't sober or you performed it or whatever, or if you did when you are, because that is a snapshot of your life. It is what it is, and it can stand on its own 2 feet, right?
Hmm.
um and I was going to ask you if there was a song that marked or an event that marked a change. Like, was there a catalyst that happened that just everything changed and you're like, you know what, I'm done. Nah, I'm done.
You mean like for sobriety in general?
Or just like your path or how you wanted to approach things, because obviously sobriety does matter because you make different decisions versus when you're like, no, I'm going to think this through and plan ahead, versus I'm just going to do whatever happens right now because we're here. Oh, there's a producer. Let's do this, man. Like it's a whole different ball game. But was
Worried,
there a moment?
Worried Sick is a different record.
Yeah.
Also because I had a child coming leading up to that, and you know, it's how do I explain it? Having a child coming immortalizes you to a certain extent, um, because not that the work I've done in my time on this planet won't be here, to supersede me, but um it's like a time capsule for your children. And eventually they're going to, I mean, my daughter knows my song. She says daddy's song. She knows the songs already. It's a big part of her life. She definitely knows what I do. But it's going to be more of her life as she gets older. And my thoughts about it were like, everything I'm doing right now is going to have an impact on her life, whether I like it or not. And for music in general, I've picked the things I love to do are the hardest things to be successful on the planet. And that suits me just fine, but it's the reality. And eventually one day she's a very smart girl already, but she could put two and two together that if daddy made music all the way up to this point and then didn't anymore, she's going to realize that I stopped making music when she was born. And I don't ever want her. I never wanted to instill in her that like if something is hard, we give up. I wanted her to see that like no matter what happened, I want to be her vision of like you can do anything you want, especially something that is one of the hardest things on the planet to do. Because I
Right.
want to be able to wholeheartedly always tell my children that like if they tell me they want to do this, I want to be like, you can. And I want them to be like, well, that's what my dad did. Like I was born at this time and mom and him were just in this spot here and they were just coming out of that. You know what I mean? Like I want my success story to be part of their story. And if I were to just um let that fall through my hands and give up, then with unintentionally, she's going to say like she's going to look at these moments in her life and intentional or not, be like, well, it got tough for my dad and it was okay because he gave up at that point. He's still pretty great. You know what I mean? I didn't want to set them up for any type of moment like that. I want to set them up for, it's not over till it's over. And I'd rather die trying than die with the regret of not, you know?
No, I get that. Ben T, I'm going to shout out your
So,
comment. He says, your music will definitely stand the test of time, Brandon. Your kids are your legacy, but your words will inspire forever.
thank you so much, man. What a beautiful, beautiful thing to say. Thank
And
you.
it's absolutely true. Your songs, like all of your music, is radio ready at this time, as far as I'm concerned. Um,
Yeah, y'all even haven't even
I
heard this
agree.
new shit, so just watch out.
yeah. Well, we're here for it. I'm just saying, like everything that you got, you play the song, and it's like, why isn't this on the radio? I could literally hear this. Of course, don't get me wrong. I literally don't listen to the radio, so I wouldn't know.
Not on the radio because I don't have $25,000 to pay radio trackers. That's why.
Oh, well, see, I was gonna ask. I was like, well, why is it? Is it just because they're like haters, or because you're not signed to a label and they're not?
No, you don't need a label. You don't need a label to get on radio at all. It can help because labels have um, they have contacts at radio. There's several ways that you can get yourself out onto radio, but just like anything, it's usually a scam. But here's the real reason, and well, several reasons. They're called radio trackers. That's how your song gets on the radio. For all you independent people listening, and it's like people listening, and it's like any campaign. You need a budget, you need the song, you need the rollout, you need the everything with it, and you give it to a company. There's a few of them. I'm not going to name names because that's not what I'm here doing, but there's quite a few companies that do it throughout wherever you are looking in the world. You can didn't have any room to add new shit in, right? Like their monthly schedule is given to them. It's like given to them from head office of like, this is the list of what you're going to play. People think radio is like way more sporadic and shit, and it's not. It's very programmed. It's incredibly programmed. It's radio programming. And so for you to get into something like that, you pay a radio tracker, and depending on how much money you have in your budget, they spend that money from the campaign getting your song out to radio stations. So, there's some I'm not going to name prices and names and stuff, but you could. There's a lot of people that pay a lot of money and end up with number ones. You know what I mean? It's radio tracking. The other part is like radio isn't as diverse as online streaming is. So like, if you make contemporary K-pop indie jazz, there's a station for it on Spotify. But if you make that same shit, you don't fit into column A, B, or C, and therefore that doesn't work at radio because radio you've got to fit in one of three spots. So if my shit leans a little bit too heavy on the rock, it's too rocky for the pop station. If it's too poppy for the rock station, if it's too rappy for a radio tracker, and they didn't pick it up, they didn't believe it fit like we're talking about there in column 1, 2, or 3. Because I, for a long time too, from a kid thinking that like things blew up on the radio, and that's a big part of it. And I have a lot of, people who I work with in the industry, and it comes full circle. Like either you pay a radio tracker and it does well and it gets on there and it gets you some buzz and it helps and you make some money from royalties because they're listening to it everywhere else. You know what I mean?
No, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are your two ways to radio. And like,
Yeah.
look at Tried, Tested, True, man. I mean, look at Jelly Roll, dude. That guy's been plugging away for years. Now he's got a single breaking on more moving parts between it than people see at the surface level, right?
That's awesome, honestly. And guys, I know it's buffering off and on. I get that. It dropped a couple frames and I understand. I've turned off every Wi-Fi device in my house, so if that helps.
I was driving home to my house at 4 a.m. last night on a night shoot. And I was driving home last night, and Jelly Roll was playing on the country radio station. That was the first time I've ever experienced that. And I don't know Jelly personally by any means, but I've been a big fan of his music for a long time. Definitely have mutual friends that are close. We toured with Struggle, who's his best friend and stuff. And
That's
big
awesome.
big respect for his music. But it was a moment for me where I was like, this is super fucking cool, man. I'm like really, 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 this is like a great thing to hear his song on the fucking country radio station right now. I was like really, really amped up to hear it. I love seeing things like that. And I love seeing people that, if you don't give up, it never ends. You know what I mean? Like
That's true.
success isn't measured by anybody but yourself. And if you don't give up, then how can they tell you it's over? It's not over till right? You say it is.
And what, like my mom said, until the dad bod sings. That was Kyle that said that. My mom agreed.
What's that
It's not over
about?
until the dad bod sings.
Right?
Oh, and
Yeah.
just Jen wants to know if the Trailer Park Boys are real.
Jen, is that a real question? Is that a real question? Do you think all Canadians are like that? Maybe in Nova Scotia, that's the province that they're pretending to be in. Nova Scotians are crazy. My brother-in-law's Nova Scotian, so I can attest to that. However, no, they're not real. They're fictional characters.
That's funny.
Fun,
Well,
fun fact that most of you guys probably don't know, because I would venture that most people listening to this podcast today are in America. Bubbles, Mike Smith, I think is his real name, from Trailer Park Boys, played in a Juno award winning. Junos are like our big awards for music here in Canada. He played in a Juno award winning band called Sandbox. So if you're ever really bored in Canada, just little history for you guys there.
oh, that's funny. No, I
You know,
like
I'm full of this shit. Every time we talk, people are always like, yeah, on my Discord and shit, I'm always talking about producers and people that are
I
like,
was
how do you know
saying
all this
that. I
shit? And
was
I'm like,
saying
I'm a
that
fucking
before.
weirdo. That's what I like.
It's when you actually get into like, hey, you just never know about people. Like you think, okay, hi, I sang a song and now here I am. That's not necessarily. There's a lot more that goes into it. There's a lot of background. There's a lot of hobnobbing and elbow rubbing, you know, and stuff like that. With
Mhm.
and you would just be surprised at who people know,
Yeah.
like and who they.
I think like 2% of me is my songs.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that's one of the big things that I really want to do, is show that there is more to people than whether you bob your head to their song or not. Like there's more to it. Don't get me wrong, that's amazing and great. However, you're a person, right? You have a family, you have goals, you have thoughts, you really actually are a super positive person no matter what happens. You tend to twist things into a positive spin, which
Mhm.
shocks the hell out of me, because honestly, that is so not me. Like everyone that does that, I'm like, how? I'm that person that's like, well, screw that. And everybody's like, oh, but it's okay. They're probably going through something. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm that person. And it just, I love being around positive people. It encourages me to someday.
Mhm.
But there's just so much more. Like, you know, I remember the time in your Discord. If you guys aren't in Brandon's Discord, please join it. I'll get the link and put it in the comments if nothing else. But he has his own Discord server, and he does jump in there sometimes when he can. He's been doing his thing lately, and he hasn't been in there as often, but it doesn't matter because we're here. It is. And he talks about all kinds of crazy stuff, like random bands you would never have heard of or thought of, or maybe you have. When you hear them, they're amazing, and it's like, well, how did I just? How old were you when you heard about this? Oh, I was this old. Like,
Yeah.
there was the one that you showed us, and actually I requested it on multiple streams for people to listen to, and it was really, really good.
What band was it? Ninja Spy?
Yeah, it was Ninja.
Yeah. See, and if you're not like, you know, from Pacific Northwest of Canada, I mean, I don't know. I think they're bigger than that, bigger than just, you know, this neck of the woods. They're fucking incredibly talented musicians and a really dope band. And if you like that kind of stuff, you know,
No,
it's definitely
absolutely.
the move.
And it's really cool to get like a lot of people that listen to the same stuff, like they come together on based on, let's say, just your music, but everybody has um different things that they like. Like my mom, I can tell you that she likes to listen to old. She likes pentatonics.
Mhm.
Like there's things that she likes. I can tell you, like for example, Darth Meow. Thanks for dropping the Discord into the chat. That's Brandon's Discord. Join it.
Hey,
Hang
Darth.
out. We're in there. But he likes metal. He likes EDM. He likes all kinds of stuff. So you just never know. Some people like rap. Some people like country. Some people like acapella only. Some people like metal, but not too metal. And it's just interesting. You just never know what's on someone's playlist. Honestly, if you could, like, in all honesty, if like you were like stranded, not stranded. Let's say you could only pick two artists for the rest of your entire life. That's all you could hear. Who would?
Oh man, that shit gets asked to me so much, and it's like I'm guilty of asking people the same question. And I'm guilty of asking the question with not having an answer. You know what I mean?
No,
Because
absolutely.
it's like I'm like, can I bring? Okay, give me an old school device. Can I bring like an iPod jam full? Just can I just bring just that? You know what I mean? I won't bring any other item if I could just bring an iPod with a bunch of shit.
What if
If
it
I
was
had like two artists for the rest of my life, it's way too hard for me to pick.
what about a year? What could you pick a decade? If you were confined to a
If
decade
I
of
had to
music,
pick a year, like a decade, it's the
even a
90s,
decade,
100%.
90s, yeah,
100%
90s is mine, hands down.
You know, but that's really tough for me because I could probably be just as happy with the 70s. And you know, so but if I had to, the 90s for sure.
I mean, 90s are my jam. Like I obsess over the 90s. I'm like, if I could just like go back, it'd be great. It'd be nice. Um,
That's probably why you like my music so much.
I really do. But that's the thing is, it's like it's before things got over sexualized and creepy, as far as I'm concerned. Like got really really creepy, where either you're super positive and you're like farting rainbows, or you're like throwing your bits up in the screen, or you're talking about people's bits. Like that's kind of like where it
Yeah.
goes. Um, and it was just like everything, almost everything that came out of the 90s was amazing as far as I'm concerned. Except the 80s. The only reason I like the 80s because I was born in the 80s. Aside from that, like I'm not a 70s fan. I'm not an 80s fan, but 90s, that's where it's at. Like, come on, Tupac, come on.
We
But
could. 90s is a great era for sure.
Yeah,
is
it's
there
probably um,
is that yours too? Yeah.
yeah, probably. I was big into like Third Eye Blind, Slipknot, yeah, Tupac, Biggie, like everything. Just rock and rap were just so good.
Plus there was
As a
grunge.
kid or still now?
Still now.
What?
I said as a kid or still now?
Oh, as a kid,
Oh, still now.
I'm always. I mean, like I still listen to a lot of stuff from the '90s, but now that I'm doing the reaction stuff, I'm actually checking a lot more like '80s stuff and in like early '90s stuff when I was like like 2, and kind of playing
Nice.
catch up on that. And yeah, but yeah, 2000s definitely. I feel like that's when things started teetering off a little bit in terms of like radio, what was on the radio. Like there's still great music, but
Eiffel
I mean you gotta
65.
dig for it.
I was yes, I'm blue. Yeah, that was
That's what
epic.
Oh
was on the
yeah.
radio then.
I mean, come on, like Alice DJ, you had like Eiffel 65, you had who's that? You and Me, Baby Ain't Nothing, you know them. There's a whole
I love Bloodhound Gang. That's
thank
like
you.
I
But I couldn't
love
think
the
of them.
Bloodhound Gang. They're if I were what the fuck is this guy talking about? But I would probably pay for a feature from Jimmy Pop from Bloodhound Gang. I love that dude. But he's just like he is the epitome of like gracefully bowed out. You know what I mean? Like that guy's not on anything. He's not anywhere. He's not on Twitter. He's not on Instagram. He's not even hanging out on Pinterest or LinkedIn. That dude's gone.
Well, here's another one because that made me reminisce a little bit, and I'm thinking, okay, of course we miss MTV when MTV was MTV and not MT whatever the
I didn't even know it was still a thing.
it's well, I guess I've heard. I think they have like shows. I don't know. I don't watch like
Oh,
TV, and I
okay,
don't have any of
okay.
those channels. But MTV was amazing then. Remember VH1 and Pop Up Video?
Yeah, of course.
Like that was like if anybody, to be honest, that was my favorite thing in the whole world. Like I could just imagine some of your songs to go on to Pop Up Video on VH1 and boing, boing, like they're just the sound where it pops up, and just have these like fun facts about you because they don't do
Yeah,
that
well,
anymore.
well, we had Much Music in Canada, which is
Hmm.
different than MTV. We didn't have MTV in Canada. We had Much Music, which was dope. Like Much Music was really dope, especially in the 90s. We had like some crazy stuff going on. And sometimes on like Friday nights, they would have if anybody Canadian is in here, they'll remember like the host or whatever the VJ video DJ or whatever host would be on there talking and like playing the songs, but they would just have people in there dancing in the background throughout like the whole kind of like station. You know what I mean? And its head office was in Toronto. So he was called Dance Party, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, you're like, okay, cool. That sounds bad Canadian.
No, seriously. Like I was actually looking it up. So,
Okay, word. I'm like, she's like, oh my god, what is
no,
he
I'm
talking
also
about? Next competition's maple syrup and fucking beavers, right?
I'm actually also texting my children to tell them get off my Wi-Fi. So that's
That's
the
what it's
other.
called. Video Dance Party. Much Music Video Dance Party, 1990. There you go. Just hit that shit up.
All right,
You
I'm
could be
gonna
one of
Google
the
that too.
you could be one of the 4,000 people who's watched that video on YouTube.
Well, no, I love that stuff because I like to get all the nitty gritty. I like to know the behind the scenes, just interesting facts, or just kind of where people's headspace was at. I'm not the person that needs an entire cliff notes before I listen to a song or during, like where I'm following along or something. But when I find music or artists that I like, I do want to know their story because it gives context and it gives more appreciation,
Oh, gotcha.
and so
I agree.
it matters to me a lot. That's one of the reasons I like having the conversations where it can go wherever it goes, whether it doesn't have to be structured. It doesn't have to go down this to this to this or else, right?
Hmm.
It can go
Hmm.
if something pops up where, you do start talking about beavers and like if you had a pet beaver, I don't know. But wherever it
I know.
goes, it just goes there because that's just who we are as people. And
Yeah.
a lot of people put artists and content creators and authors, like I've got authors coming on the podcast soon, like stuff like that, they put them in this untouchable section. And I understand that that's a good place to be for your sanity and your privacy, and I get that.
Mhm.
However, because you do your coffee, like he does. If you guys don't know this, he does coffee with Brandon on Facebook, and I try to stream it in the Discord, but it's right now. I think it's usually, what is it, Sundays? It just depends. Um, and he's done that consistently. He does his online concerts. He really gets in touch with everybody, and he sits and talks to people after his online concert, and he talks to every person that wants to talk to him or ask him a question. Like
Try my absolute best to. I know I
when
sometimes miss people in there, but
when the entirety of this whole online is saturated, oversaturated with content, right? There's a 50,000 songs coming out every day. And some are ridiculous and some are great, but nobody's ever going to see them. Who knows? The way that you
agreed.
connect with people is to connect with people, to be real and to be accessible, but yet you have to, like I said, sanity and privacy. You've got to maintain distance. And I think that you balance that really, really well. I think that all of your fans that I've met um, feel like they know you, like they actually know you, like they call you a friend.
Yeah. And I'm if people feel that way about me, then I've done all I've ever wanted to. Because you're right. It is a thing. Never have to worry about it because people see you for the human being you are, and they don't put you in this different spot. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we may connect through my music, but I'm just as interested in you guys as you are interested in me. That's why I write these posts trying to get people to talk about themselves because I understand, like, when I was building these communities, my number one goal was I wanted a safe space for people to show up in whatever fucking version they are. I mean, and to have like-minded people around them for people who maybe don't make friends the traditional way, out talking to people in the real world, and they feel more comfortable talking to people in this medium. And that's what it is. You look at the community we built from there, and it's like, people are in there supportive, helping one another, and they do look to me like a friend, and that's what we are. I don't think I've ever referenced people that listen to me or like me as fans.
Right. And
And I don't mean it in the cliche sense of like I don't have friends. Fans. I have friends because people say that shit all the time, and I guarantee a lot of people don't feel that way. However, um, I genuinely care about people. If all this music shit went away tomorrow, I would still be on here telling people that they got it. You got this, and to keep your head up and keep going,
I
regardless
believe
of
you.
what happened with my life.
No,
So that's just who I am.
I believe
I
you, and
like to help people.
that's why you deserve a spotlight. You deserve deserve recognition, and I don't know how to put this. I don't articulate well, but
It's okay.
the person that you are, I think that people feel it and they see it. And I have not met a single person who's like, God, he's such a dick. I've not met one, not one. Maybe I just haven't met enough people. I don't know. But
Yeah, I'm sure there's some people out there that probably don't like me for certain versions of myself at certain points in my life, but that's okay.
that's the thing is that you are a kind-hearted, a decent, you know, positive, inspirational person who takes time out of your day, your week, your month, whatever the case may be, in order to try and reach out and be there for people. And every time you go on your coffee, even if you're only there for 10 minutes, you still started out like with something positive and you talk positively. I'm so jealous because I don't do that. I don't know how. But you always find a way to just find to inspire other people, no matter what's going on in your life and how busy you are and how much you have on your shoulders and how stressed out you are. You still find the time to really try to reach out and touch people and to at least make something positive in their day.
Yeah,
And
I
it,
mean,
you people like you don't get enough recognition. You don't get enough. I don't want to say accolades. You don't need a trophy. I'm not gonna like send you a medal. It's not that. It's just appreciation. To be completely frank, that's what it is. You deserve way
thank
more than you get. I guarantee you.
I
you
agree.
know what? I first and foremost thank you. I definitely appreciate that. Um, and clearly, we all know that that's not what I do it for. Um, but most importantly, above all of this shit, most important to me, I should say, above all of this shit, is what I do, is helping people feel less alone. So when I come on and I speak those positives, I speak them for myself as much as I speak them to everybody else. I think there's, I think I'm pretty honest in the point of like, I'll write some vulnerable shit in my Discord and let people know, like, hey, it's been a bit of a weird time in my head. That's why I haven't been around. Um, and I believe that there's beauty in the breakdown, right? Like, the more you can humanize yourself, uh, it allows for people to be vulnerable around you, and it allows you to be vulnerable around people when you can just be like, hey man, I'm working this out, like, I don't have this all figured out. People are like, oh shit, me too, man. Me too, I don't have it figured out. And it makes it a lot easier for you to just get down to the brass tacks and be like, let's figure this shit out together. And so I find by always showing up as the imperfect version of myself when I don't want to show up, um even in times where I feel guarded, I think sometimes it's important I try to show up because of, sometimes there's a lesson in there that showing up today in the state that I'm in, um, might help someone that's in that same state, uh, get through today. I might get through it just fine by myself, and I will get through it just fine by myself, but maybe sharing it today might help someone who might not. And I think that's like the most important part to me because, um, if I didn't say any of this shit, if I didn't tell people it, if I didn't, I am, if anybody who knows me well on a personal level knows I am that check on you friend. I am that dude who's you call when shit's fucked up. Because my care factor is high. And but mainly because I'm really good at being there for everybody else, and it's taken me a really long time to learn how to be there for myself. And only recently, have I learned to start showing up for Brandon. And so a lot of those morning coffees when I'm sitting there and I'm speaking this to you, this is like me in real time figuring out uh these things as a human being. And I'm talking about them at the same time because I'm like, hey, life hack, I just realized if you don't do this, it didn't make me feel like that. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
not on there preaching. I'm just like, hey, friends that are just as fucking anxious as me, here's something that's been working. Because why uh reserve that knowledge for yourself? And sometimes to share that struggle means a lot to people. There's quite a few times where I finish a live stream or an online concert where I sit and talk to people, and I'm a very vulnerable human being. I fucking broken down crying in the middle of my online concerts many a times because it was my first time ever playing Stayed Here, or something just had me, going in that moment, and bringing up playing that song just, ripped it out of me. And I'm never going to show up as anything other than who I am. Fuck trying to pretend to be cool. Fuck trying to be cooler than everybody else. Fuck trying to be cool in the first place, man. If you're trying to be cool, you have already failed the mission. Showing up as yourself and letting people know it's okay to show up as themselves is fucking cool. That's cool. That's the shit we should normalize. The coolest person in the room shouldn't be the dude with the leather jacket leaning against the wall smoking a cigarette, the Fonzie motherfucker. It should be the dude sitting at the table with everyone, inviting everyone to sit down. And that's what I do. And that's what I try to do. Because I get awkward in social situations. So the best way for me was to just try to jump in feet first. I would always try to jump in and submerge myself and get as many people around me. And then you start talking and they start talking and everything starts to feel less strange. So I try to take that and apply it to everyday parts of my life.
So if anybody didn't catch what I said about him being inspirational, positive, and for some reason always coming up with the words to make it count, there you have it. Like, just touch everybody in their feels. Appreciate that. There it is. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, and people feel that so much because I'm not saying I'm not here. I'm like, if you're cool, you're cool. That's cool. That's okay. But I'm here for the freaks and the crazies. I'm here for the people that are shy
All
and
day.
sensitive. I'm here for the people that just never really fit in, that they were always the square peg in the round hole, you know? I like literally that's who I really resonate with. I resonate with people like that. And I always want to inspire. And I guess my inspirations kind of go a different direction. I'm not as
Mhm.
good at inspiring masses as I am saying, look, you don't have to put up with this, that, or the other. You can do better. You know, love yourself. I went through this. I hope this helps you understand. I got through it. So can you? That kind of stuff. I'm better with that than coming up with epic and amazing positive rants that like everyone is gonna replay 80,000 times because it was awesome. Um,
I'm definitely a ranter, that is for sure.
I'm just saying it's like that's exactly what it's all about. I mean, I'm not cool, right? Like, are any of us really? When you think about it, what is cool? You're only cool if somebody says that you are, and who the fuck gets to say that except yourself? So, like, what does it even mean? What does it even matter? Just be you,
Yeah,
unapologetically, you know. And you said it earlier, let your freak flag fly. Let's go. Um,
all day.
do
You know,
whatever. Yeah, square peg. Exactly. So that's the thing. It's just that's kind of what it's all about. But you can just as long as you're respectful, right, and you're appreciative and you are kind, you can pretty much you can make friends with anybody.
Yeah, I mean, a
yeah,
lot of what's out there today that's considered cool isn't respectful and isn't willing to be vulnerable. So, I mean, honestly, what is cool? It seems pretty lame to me.
it's not. It's a figment of people. Oh man, if this brings me back to all of it, right? Like if you spend your whole life trying to fit into this version of what you think other people want to see from you, you're missing your whole life is passing you by of just being as weird as you fucking can be, because there's always going to be someone to match your weirdness. But like,
Right.
imagine how lame it must be to be like the cool kids that are like, sitting in the corner, like judging everybody. Like, well, we're way cooler. Like, I've always been loud and obnoxious. Or I've been really quiet and reserved. I often don't have a medium. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
either quiet or I'm too loud. But I also don't fucking care what either one is. You know what I mean? If if people look at you like you're having too much fun in a restaurant, well, you are, and there's nothing wrong with that. Um, and I've never. I think that's really what life is, right? We go through these moments of our life trying to seek acceptance from other people, and then as you get older, what was the quote that I was just saying the other day that I read? It said, "When you're 20, you care what everybody thinks about you. When you're 40, you don't care what anybody thinks about you, and when you're 60, you realize that no one was thinking about you in the first place."
Aw. Oh, come on.
But what I'm saying is,
Oh, I feel like I'm like my mom. Mom, I love you.
no. What I mean is their opinion of you.
Right, I got you. Yeah, because I kind of I jumped into the 40. I'm 39. I just turned 39 last month. I'm 39, so I am like I'm almost to the top of the hill because isn't 40 over the hill? But anyway,
No.
when I was a kid, we used to get like the cane for like my relatives, and now I look back like I was such a little asshole. Um, because they're not over the hill; they're just like people. But now, I'm just saying, I gave no fucks a long time ago. If I spent too long of my life caring what people thought, but there's a difference between the fact that you don't have to care what people think or let it hurt you. You know what I'm saying? However, people are people, and we still have feelings. Just because you can be an asshole to people doesn't mean you should. So not caring what people think because you just are proud of who you are and you're going to be unapologetically you does not mean that you need to turn that on someone. I'm not saying you, but in general. And attack someone because I don't care what you think. That's different. Like when people put disclaimers, you might not like it. We're gonna be an asshole, and then they literally are an asshole and like talk crap and they chew people out and they make fun of them, and then it's like, well, I said I was gonna be an asshole. That's not how that works. Like that's not it. As long as there's respect, do whatever you want to. If you don't like what someone's doing, then don't be standing in their vicinity while they're doing it. Like there's other places to be. Like you could go somewhere else. Like you don't have to accept everything. No. Not everyone has to conform to what you want or what you think is proper. You can do their own thing, and if that's not something you like, find something else. Find someone else. Like just walk away. It's not, people just make it so fucking hard.
I think it says more about them than you, because it's like, why would you put yourself in a spot that you don't want to be? If you don't like what someone's doing, why stick around? Just go somewhere else. But some people linger around and just surround themselves with things they don't like and negativity, and those are the people you don't want to be around. So why do you value their opinion?
I think people do it because they think by staying in there or trying to stay in there, eventually they might find acceptance, and they don't want to be there. They don't want to leave at the moment. They might be it's a longing to be wanted and included, right? Yeah. But I think personally, you should take note of when you're not included, and realize that if these things actually match up with you, like, do you really give a fuck if you're at that party that people are at? It's probably a lame party. If you weren't invited, it's probably a lame party. Yeah. And also, like, take mental stock of that. I'm a big, firm believer of meeting people with the same energy that I'm met with. You come in hot, I can come back hot. You know what I mean? But for the most part, I'm a very, very, very even-keeled human being. My wife would probably disagree. I try to say, I say that I describe myself as chill all the time, and my wife breaks out in hysterical laughter. And she's always just like, you are not chill. Like, nothing. You are so not chill. And I'm like, how am I not chill? Like, I'm the epitome of chill. And she's like, you are not. You are nonstop. You're always going. And I'm like, I suppose if we're talking about it in that extent, but apparently I'm not chill. My dad likes to say that he's chill too, and I would argue that my dad is not chill either. And we are definitely cut from the same cloth. So, I don't know where I was going with that one. Like I said, I finished the shoot at 5 o'clock in the morning last night, so my brain power is rapidly dwindling. Maybe I should let you guys ask me a couple more questions, and then
if you guys have questions in the chat, feel free to drop them, and we will try and pick a couple.
Mosey on my way.
Yeah, and we're definitely not going to keep you. I appreciate you. I know that you were going through it. I know that you're tired as hell, and the fact that you made sure that you were here. Not only that, by the way, on time, punctual as hell, and like here for every bit of it. I can't thank you enough. It matters. It matters to me. It's. I respect your time. You said that you respect ours. That's how it should work. Like,
absolutely. No, I'm happy to be here.
Honor your commitments. Keep your word. It's not hard. Living this life, y'all, is not that damn hard. Now, money, gas prices, okay, all that's one thing. When it comes to being a decent fucking human being, have some respect. Keep your word. Try to be consistent and do the best you can for the people that you love, especially your family and your children. That's it.
Amen.
It's not hard.
Facts.
I'm just saying.
Facts.
That's Kat's rant about how to be a good person. Anyway, because I am so the one that wants everybody to be my friend. So I want everyone to like me. Um. Oh, I was gonna say the only other thing I had a question about that I didn't get to ask you. Did you always know that music was your like? I'm talking like when you were young, were you like singing into the microphone, like you wanted to be on? What is the one with? Who is it? That's where the kids were on there and they got to sing and stuff. Like when we were little, stars something. It's like, did you always know you wanted to be an artist, or that you wanted to do music, that you wanted to sing, or did you like want to be an astronaut?
Have known since I was 2 years old that I was gonna be a musician. Music. Ugh, there we go. As I'm trying to say the most important word of the whole conversation. Music and movies are the only two things that have ever made sense to me in my entire life. And I have always known I was going to make music for my entire life. When I was 2, I would put on concerts for my family. When I was a young kid, my parents always talk about I would like bring everybody downstairs and I'd have like chairs set up and I'd hit something on the tape player and probably jump up and down and sing around and jump around, and do all that shit to it. So I've known I was going to make music my whole life. I've been writing music since I was 12.
Okay.
And I could probably and like when I was like 8 and 7, like I remember being in the car with my dad, and I like a Black Sabbath song that we'd listened to on tape 3 times, or 30 times or something. Or not even. We like a song would play, the next day I'd be singing it, and my dad would be like, "How do you know all the words to this already?" And I'm the same now. Like I could probably remember almost every single song I ever wrote. Not going to sing you the first one. Um, and I'm the same thing. Like for those of you that have ever seen me on the road with Tom, uh, know that I play my set on the first tour. I would play my set, play a song during Nova's set, and then do Tom's whole set with him. And now, it's just my set, and then I do all of Tom's set with him. So keep in mind, Tom plays for like an hour plus every night. So I play all my songs and then I go do all of his songs. And Tom has always been like, he always make the joke, like, more of my lyrics than I do. And I don't know. I have this uncanny ability to like hear something and be singing it 2 seconds later. It's the same thing when I write songs. I often, like, I know a lot of people when they're writing songs and then they go in to track them. Like I could write a part to a song 20 minutes before tracking it and track it without needing to read it.
Okay.
Damn.
And that's just how my brain works. It's like,
So
me,
you were
the
built
square
for
root of
it.
the room, no fucking clue.
You were
Ask
built
me, ask me some dumb pop reference. Probably I'll remember it. Ask me about a movie that is really weird or a song that's like super abstract in a band. 100% I'll probably be able to answer that question. Ask me like what year Canada was founded in. Even you can even ask me how many fucking territories we have. I don't have the answer to either one of those, and people are gonna laugh at me because my brain doesn't store any like relative knowledge. It just stores the knowledge that is relevant to me.
I gotcha. I do.
That's it.
Here's a good question from Shauna B.
Okay.
Is Brandon in Time Don't Wait? What is the line in the chorus for the 40s? I've never been able to figure it out.
I'll give it to you in total. And this is probably because I'm a mumbling motherfucker, but here we go. I was 20, just living, like 30 ain't forever, and 40 just feels like you're half into a grave. Don't wait till 50 just to live it, because 60's got no limits. It could be over in a minute, because time don't wait.
That
Fire,
actually makes sense. I mean, no, it makes sense
It's a
because
big one.
no, it really is. I mean, 1997 is one of my favorite songs of the chorus. That's why I chose it when I first started promoting this podcast because
Mhm.
it just. Anyway, anyone that's heard that song and heard the chorus, I don't need to explain it. Y'all get it.
Yeah, it's a true story.
And Nick wants to know the beard regimen.
Beard
Nick, the
regimen.
actor, is in the chat. Hi, shout out, Nick. What's up?
Um,
What up, Nick?
Man, I'm not one of those dudes who like I'm not out here with that, like, putting in beard masks every single night, and like I don't even brush my beard every day. I just am I guess blessed with it looking half decent most of the time. However, I do brush my beard out, sometimes every day. Usually when I'm like, ow. But mainly I try to every day. And then good homie of mine here in Canada makes a beard oil that I use and beard balm that I use called burnt whiskey. And he's got great beard oils. Definitely like really nice for me. And my favorite one that I use that I always talk about when people ever ask me, they're like, which one to get? He's got so many different smells. I always go for the Majestic Steed. A, because the name is great, but B, it's like my favorite smelling beard oil of all time.
It
It's
makes me
like
want to get it, and I don't have a beard. I'm like,
yeah, it's
and
like
no
it's
males
like
in
a
my
it's
house,
like a
so
no, it's like a minty citrus smell. It's really good.
Mm.
It's great. Majestic Steed. Shout out to Burnt Whiskey Beard Oil. Great dude, great company. And yeah, he was giving beard oil to or all the homie my buddies in the wild. I don't know if you guys listen to that band. I talk about them all the time. Uh really good friends of mine. Dylan Vaughn's one of my best friends. I've known him forever. He's the lead singer of that band. Super great band if you've never listened to them. And Lucas has a huge beard, the bass player. Um, like a make my beard look like a fucking like a teeny little goatee beard. His is huge. And Big Lou, the igloo, always puts in the burnt whiskey, and that's the first time I ever had the honor and privilege of using it. We were on the road together somewhere in Europe, and he hooked me up with some burnt whiskey beard oil. And when I got back to Canada, I put in an order because they all know him really well. And he's got like beard wash and beard balms and all sorts of shit. And yeah, I just started ordering this steed in mass quantities, and ever since I've been heavy with the burnt whiskey Majestic Steed. So that's what I use.
I do see Jonathan Edge in the chat,
Yeah,
and
he's talking about gasoline.
he was asking, he's asked it, and I see you, man. I says, so see you in morning coffee, Brandon.
100% not this Sunday though. I'm shooting something tomorrow morning. So forgive me, y'all, but I am I spent the first few months of my son's life uh making it work. And I've also been organizing the top of this year. I put in a ton of, I mean, I haven't stopped working ever, but sometimes it might look like I'm not because I haven't put something out. However, like I told you before we started the conversation, I've been running, feels like I've been running on sand all year, and a lot of teeny pieces that all need to fit together in order for everything to work. Um, so I've had releases ready to go and then had to push or had to change something or had to cancel or had to go back to the drawing board, or there's been a lot of setbacks this year, and that's just the natural progression of things as I try to move forward. And I am I'm constantly readjusting the course. But I've been working on a lot of big moving pieces
Right.
that in turn turn all the smaller pieces. So when one, it's like a stack of cards, you know what I mean? Like the house of cards. When one goes, it all goes, and then I gotta start to fucking build it back up again. Or it's like, I think I've got the last card coming, and they're like, actually, it's gonna be another month down. You're like, cool, cool. I guess I'll just sit here on my hands until then. So I'm making up for lost time, and I'm doubling down. As I told you, I was out shooting something till 5 in the morning last night. I'm up shooting something at 7 a.m. tomorrow. So, um, and once I get off with you guys today, I've got about another 8 hours of stuff to do to prep for all this new stuff. So, um, yeah. So unfortunately, the morning coffees have been getting pushed. which is really hard. I tried to push them to the weekend to make it a better time for me, and it seems to just be like getting busier and busier. I also like, you know, I also really want to get on there when I can start sharing this stuff.
Right, of
And
course.
I know it's like a great time to sit on there and chat, but it's really hard for me to be on there in my true authentic form and uh not want to fucking pour my heart out about all this shit that's happened this year and all the shit that's going to happen this year. So that's, you know, I really felt like today was a great opportunity to kind of, you know, come and just chat and and talk and, you know, let people know like I've done more work this year than I could even formulate into words. You know, people are like, "Oh, you haven't released anything." It's like, yeah, but you don't even understand
Well,
how
that's
much I've
because
done.
people don't
You know,
understand the behind the scenes part, right? People aren't quite aware of all the moving parts that have to happen, all the things that have to click into place, how much, personal time, effort, money, adjusting,
yeah,
scheduling, making it all happen, going here, going there, like talking to this, getting that phone call back, and it all has to click in order for it to move forward. And people think it's just like show up, sing a song, and go away. I'm not saying everybody here because a lot of people actually give a shit that are in this community. I shout out to this community. By the way, shout out Iron Ice. Um, but thing is that they don't understand the mental and physical and the stress that goes into it. And so people are like, but come on, because that's their connection to you. So that's that really scary balance, right? Where
mhm,
it's you want to reach out and you want to, but then you have your privacy and you have your own things like I gotta take care of this. The cool part about your community and your, the people that follow you and that really resonate with you is they've been there, done that. They know that there's times you just gotta step back, and they're cool. They're there with it. They just want to know what's gonna happen at some point because they miss you,
yeah,
right?
for sure. And that's why I'm like, you know, I'm so meticulous with everything that I do that I'm never gonna just rush something out because I'm feeling the pressure of needing to release something where I'm like, shit, it's been too long. I should have something out by now. Like, okay, should and could and will are all different things. And ultimately for me, I'm like, I'm not gonna just rush this out because that's what it feels like I need to do right now. What is the point of me working day and fucking night on building all these huge pieces and wanting to release them in a certain way, just to rush it out because I feel pressured to. That's a disservice to the art. And
Right.
at the top of all of this, it's the art, and it's so important to me that like it's why I take the time to press the CDs. It's why I do all the things I do. It's why I drop the little Easter eggs. If you've never noticed, you know, like in Point Across, I'm wearing the Worried Sick logo that I never announced on the hat in that video, only for it to show up like a year later. So
That's crazy.
that just lets you know how far ahead I am when I'm creating. I'm a world ahead on something. Sometimes I'm a year and a half ahead on what I'm building as an art piece, as a collection. And so just to be like, "Oh fuck, it's been 7 months, shit it out." No, that's never going to be me. And I'm okay with that.
I
In
think we're all
fact,
okay with that too,
in
honestly.
fact, after these next two things I release, uh, I have the craziest vision for how I'm going to release the next few projects after that, and it's like nothing I've ever done before in my entire life, and I couldn't be more excited to do it this way. So here I am 2 years ahead of, you know, I'm planning 2024 projects when we're in 2022 right now.
That's awesome. And
And yeah, that's where my head is. People don't understand that like often, you know, not everything is like I'm never going to be the mixtape guy who puts out 100 songs a year. That's just not who I am. That's not how I that's not the pace I enjoy. And
right.
at the end of the day, like it's my motherfucking life, and this is my art, and you don't get to decide when it comes out just because you want it, you know?
Absolutely. And
And
on a,
and again, I don't, just to be crystal clear here, that does not mean anything towards the people that are excited for it. I'm not saying the fact that people are champing at the bit for it, I am over the moon with gratitude and appreciation and love for the support that people show me that are excited for it. I'm just saying anybody writing, some, when are we going to get this, or you haven't, like, on, and not from the excited standpoint of the, like, I'm falling off because I haven't done it standpoint.
well,
Ultimately it's my art, it's my choice,
let
and
me say
I'm,
sheer
I'm not
madness.
I'm not a content creator, so
No,
I'm a
I get
fucking
that.
artist.
No, I absolutely get that, and you're completely correct. Sheer madness says you'll never go wrong staying true to yourself. That is hands down a good fact.
Amen.
Wildflower says that means you get to be excited and humming with anticipation and for years, and that excitement is an integral part of the experience. By the way, a big thing that I completely believe, that being able to access things that minute, all the time, every time, like in like exponentially, right? You click on something, you can have 80,000 options, has actually crapped on the experience of going to Walmart and picking up that one CD because you just got your allowance, right? Or you just
Mhm.
got, you saved up 2 allowances to go buy, the Slim Shady album or something, right? Like you can't, it's that anticipation, waiting for commercials because you're like, oh my God, what just happened? And you're like waiting for the commercial to hurry up so you can
Mhm.
see the next part. People have this instant gratification. They're not capable of being patient. And I think that quality over quantity every time, all the time, no matter what. I mean, that's how I feel. Um, I just think that your appreciation of quality and making sure that everything you put out is a piece of you and resonates what you want people to see and to experience in that way. I mean, that matters.
For sure. And like, these, I say this with every project because I believe this with every project, but these are the greatest songs I've written yet. And as long as I feel that way every time, it doesn't matter, because they're gonna still be like, I listened to the songs I started this year with a couple days ago in headphones with my eyes closed, and they still gave me the same feeling um, I had when I was writing them. And that is such a big tell for me, and that is literally how I decide when things are coming out. Like, if I can close my eyes and they still make my hair stand up and they still emotionally take me where I need to go with them, I'm like, that's it. That's I If I got it all out there, then I'm done. And
Yeah,
now
that's
it's how do I put it together to give it to them? Now that part's done. What's the package?
yeah. I feel like that's like when you really captured that moment that you were in when you were trying to write the song, when you could still listen back on it and be like, "Yep, that's it. That's that moment."
For sure. And you know, everything fought me this year. Like, everything. Shit that was very easy uh fought me this year. And shit that wasn't easy fought me this year. So it was like I was getting it from all sides, and I was like, okay, cool. And I'm a firm believer of, like, when things are really fighting you, you need to look where the resistance is coming from. And often it's because for me, sometimes it's an internal struggle. Like, what worked before isn't working now because I've grown and I've changed. And what I wanted and what I'm getting are two different things. So I need to go get what I want. And it needs to be exactly how I want it to be. Um, there's a band that I love, 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 love. And it's one guy, but it's a band. And when you see them play, it's a full band, but all the instruments are played by one guy. The whole record is written and tracked and recorded by one guy. And I resonate with him so large, not in the fact that I'm a multi uh, instrumentalist, in the fact that he said this only works if I do it this way. Otherwise, there's no fucking point in doing the project. It only works if it's me doing everything.
Right.
Because when I'm expressing something, and and he said at the end of it, he's like, I at the end of this, I'll know that I gave everything I fucking had to make this piece of art. And if people don't like it, that sucks. But oh well, at least I'll leave it knowing that I gave it everything I had. And that's how I feel. And when things are fighting me, it's because that what I did before is not working where I'm at creatively now. So it's just like, this piece doesn't work anymore. Fine. Then I will take over that piece and I'll learn how to do the piece and I'll adapt and I'll mold it until the piece is perfect to what it needs to be. That's me. And I'm never going to compromise it being like, yeah, that song's good enough. Like, good enough is never going to pass it for me. Um, and I'd rather scrap 10 songs and write 3 new ones than just put something out to be good enough. And that band I'm talking about, by the way, is Beartooth.
I've heard of Beartooth.
Yeah, they're a heavy band. The dude who does it all is Caleb Shomo, and he's insanely talented musician. And there's lots of great BTS of him making an album where he's playing the drums, guitar, bass, writing, and singing it all. And it's such a big fact when he said, like, from the very beginning, I told people this project only works if it's me doing everything. And I don't mean that for my work. I just mean that I have to, everything has to end up the way it needed to be for me. So if all things aren't there, then we aren't done, my friends.
That's awesome. And I can't thank you enough for being here. I know we're hitting up on about 2 hours.
No, that's good. That's good. We should probably cut it off. I'll talk forever, and I gotta.
And I know you've got to get rest, and I know you've got a lot of stuff that's going on, and I could sit here and listen to you talk all day. It's inspirational. It's so interesting. Things that you have to say, the way that your perspective is on things. It just, I just think, I don't think there's a single person here that doesn't appreciate every single word that you've said so. And I just can't thank you enough for taking the time to come onto this platform and letting us just talk to you and answer our questions, and letting the chat have an opportunity to say things and talk their stuff, and just putting your perspective out there. It means the world to me. I know, and I know it means the world to. I appreciate you so much.
Well, you know what? I appreciate you guys too, and I'm grateful for all the help that you've done with helping me with all my Discord stuff, as well as just being a good, friend overall. So I'm grateful to be here. I'm happy to be here. It's been nice for everybody who joined us and hung out today. Thank you for hanging out, and let's definitely do this again. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Anytime that you got something and you're not in the middle of doing something crazy, and you want to hit us up, let me know. Just send me a message, and make it happen.
You know what? Life will always be busy. It's about making the time. So I always have the time. Let me know when you want. But ultimately, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everybody who joined us today. And thanks, Kat and Skullz, for having me on and just BSing. And I appreciate and love y'all.
Oh, absolutely. And everybody, we're going to go ahead and call it an night, afternoon. It's afternoon/evening/ almost dinner time. It's EST to PST across the entire United States, Canada. We're on every time zone at this point, except Mountain Time. No, well, Mountain Time doesn't get enough love, but what can I say? And we appreciate y'all being here. Make sure you join. You can see that they're posting your Discord, Brandon, into this chat, as well as his YouTube channel is below. Check out his music if you haven't. Most of you guys have all, and there's Carly. Yes, Carly, I'm actually wrapping it up. There's Shay What Now is in the chat.
Oh, hey, Shay, what up?
No, but I appreciate everybody being here. Brandon, I appreciate you taking your time, especially being as busy as you are. And we'll definitely do it again. We'll get something on the books, after I get moved and you get your stuff taken care of that you're, getting ready to do. So we'll go from there.
Absolutely.
And Skullz,
Yeah,
thanks
Brandon,
for.
well, Brandon, it was an absolute pleasure to meet you. You're
Of
awesome.
course,
I
man.
really respect the music you do. I gotta say too, I actually did a reaction to your song maybe a couple months ago for the
Oh
first
yeah,
time,
which one?
1979.
Or
I would,
1997?
oh yeah, 1997. My bad, dyslexic. But
It's okay.
but yeah, no, I was so surprised because I was expecting your voice to be so different, and I was like, whoa, like, but your voice is amazing. I love what
Thank
you're
you, man.
doing. Yeah, I love the whole vibe, man, and I've been a fan since. So, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. You're awesome.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Well, you get some sleep, and everybody that's in the chat, you have a good evening. Check the description for all the links and everything. Please come back and drop a comment. Help a sister out, okay? Please. Like, drop a damn comment. It's not hard. It's just you wait for a second, it'll shut down, and then you just drop a comment and say hi. I don't care what it says. Just be nice so I don't have to review it. Yeah, just help the algorithm so that we can get this out there. Brandon needs to be heard more. He needs to be seen more. He needs to be appreciated more. We will
Thanks.
next one.
All right. Y'all have a good
We'll
night.
see y'all elsewhere.
Yeah, that thing. Y'all have a good one.